Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Welcome to this meeting of the Senate Committee on Education. I'm Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the distinct honor of chairing this meeting today. We will start with our roll call, Madam Secretary.
Senator Buck, Senator Cruz Crawford, Senator Doniate, Senator Dondero Loop, Senator Rogish, Senator Titus, Chair Taylor.
And I am present. Please mark Senator Rogich absent excused, and please mark Senator Danyante present when he arrives. He will be a little late. Okay. We have two bill hearings that we're going to have on two bills we're going to hear on today. Assembly Bill 454, which enacts a Smart Heart law for public and private schools, and Assembly Bill 495 revises provision relating to charter schools. Just as a little bit of housekeeping for those who may not have been in any committee meeting in this building at all over this time, please silence your electronic devices. Please, when you come forward, make sure you turn the microphone on, state your name slowly and clearly, and then make sure you spell your last name for the record. And every time you speak, we'd like your name so that our records will, and our minutes will be updated. And then finally, you will see committee members have our laptops in front of us. Please do not take that as a sign of disrespect or inattention, but we have exhibits and notes and so on in front of us. Okay, let's get started. I see our presenter is here. Assembly Member Nadine, come forward. We are opening the hearing on Assembly Bill 454, enacts a Smart Heart law for public and private schools. Assembly Member and co-presenter, please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Tyler, and members of the committee. I'm Hanadi Nadeem, representing Assembly District 34. Presenting with me today in Las Vegas is Dr. Alfred Danielian, the Las Vegas Heart Associates Director of Sports Cardiology and Echocardiography. And also I have Leah Cartwright with me to go over the conceptual amendments. We are here to present Assembly Bill 454, which enacts a Smart Heart law for public and private schools. I would like to begin with some background information. Sudden cardiac arrest is an abrupt and unexpected loss of heart function leading to the cessation of breathing and consciousness. This critical condition arises from disturbances in the heart's electrical system, causing it to stop beating effectively. Immediate intervention is vital, as survival rate decreases by approximately 10% for each minute without defibrillation. Sudden cardiac arrest can tragically affect seemingly healthy individuals, including high school-age athletes. Training school personnel and coaches on how to administer cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, is critical for an effective emergency response to sudden cardiac arrest. The training, coupled with a well-practiced emergency action plan, significantly improves survival outcome. For individuals experiencing sudden cardiac arrest, according to National High School Journal of Science. Assembly Bill 454, known as the Smart Heart Law, bolsters the safety protocol of Nevada high school athletics activities by ensuring life-saving skills are ingrained in daily practices of both public and private schools. I will now walk you through the key sections of the bill. Section 1 expands current laws requiring public school districts to develop and implement comprehensive CPR training plans. Specifically, the bill adds the requirement that every coach, manager, or person involved in school athletic activity obtain and maintain current certification in the administration of CPR in accordance with the established district plan. This expansion from physical education teachers to all athletic activity personnel aims to significantly improve emergency response capabilities, thereby increasing the survival rate of student athletes in the event of cardiac emergency. Section 5 further expands these requirements to private high schools, ensuring uniformity across the educational landscape. Under this section, the governing bodies of private school must establish a tailored plan for CPR training and certification for every coach, manager, and individual involved in school athletic activities. By aligning the certification standard with those applied in public schools, the bill ensures that all school students, regardless of the type of school they attend, benefit from the same level of preparedness in facing potential cardiac emergencies. Proposed amendments during the Assembly Education work session, it was stated on the record that the term managers within Section 1 and 1.5 may potentially include students. The proposed amendment excludes students to clarify the intent. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Now I would like Dr. Danielle to please, my co-presenter, to please present the bill.
Dr. Alfred Danielian, ALFRED DANIELIAN. Thank you, Assemblymember Nadeem. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and esteemed members of the Senate Education Committee. It's truly an honor to present here today. I'm a sports cardiologist and the director of sports cardiology and echocardiography at Mountain View Hospital with Las Vegas Heart Associates. I bring a unique perspective as the team cardiologist for all the major sports teams in Las Vegas: the Raiders, the Golden Knights, the Silver Knights, the Aces, the Aviators, and UNLV Athletics. I also sit on the American College of Cardiology Sports and Exercise Cardiology Leadership Council, and I'm currently the governor-elect for the American College of Cardiology's Nevada chapter. What inspired me to push for this bill was the tragic loss of 16-year-old Ashari Hughes during a flag football game in Las Vegas, along with the heartbreaking deaths of other local student athletes, events that coincided with the nationally televised sudden cardiac arrest of the NFL Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin. With this background, I've seen firsthand how critical it is to be prepared for emergencies on the field, and sadly, why this bill is so needed. You heard earlier, sudden cardiac arrest occurs when the heart suddenly stops beating normally because its natural electrical system stops working properly. And when the heart can no longer pump blood effectively, the brain and other vital organs are immediately deprived of oxygen. Without CPR and the use of an AED, chance of survival drops 7 to 10% for every minute that passes. That means that after just 5 minutes, chances of survival are about 50%, and after just 10 minutes, chances of survival are almost 0. But with CPR and immediate use of an AED, chance of survival can triple. That's why every second counts. While the overall incidence of sudden cardiac arrest in young athletes is fairly rare, estimated to be around 1 in 60,000 young athletes per year, sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cardiovascular cause of death in young athletes. And sudden cardiac arrest often strikes without any warning and can be the very first manifestation of a concealed genetic disease in a seemingly healthy young athlete who did not have any symptoms prior to the event. While we know all the incredible benefits of long-term exercise, we also know that during exercise, there's a transient increase in the risk of sudden cardiac arrest in individuals with underlying genetic heart disease. So while rare, when sudden cardiac arrest does occur, it's devastating, it's tragic, it's heartbreaking, and it can strike without any warning. While we do our best to screen young athletes for these underlying genetic heart diseases, there's no perfect screening process. And the unfortunate reality is that these events will occur. In fact, the most recent sudden cardiac arrest events that have been well publicized in the media occurred in athletes who had undergone screening for years without any detected abnormalities. While our professional athletes receive world-class medical care, and cases of sudden cardiac arrest in professional and collegiate athletes gain widespread media attention, our high school student athletes deserve the same level of protection and face the same risks of sudden cardiac arrest. In fact, in the most recently published data on the incidence of sudden cardiac arrest in young athletes, high school athletes were actually at the highest risk, especially those participating in basketball, football, and track and field. So our primary focus for survival during sudden cardiac arrest is emergency preparedness, having well-rehearsed emergency action plans that enable immediate use of AEDs by trained individuals. This remains the most effective way to prevent fatal outcomes and to ensure survival in our student athletes. The emergency action plan is critical. It's a life-saving tool that ensures rapid, organized, and effective response to sudden cardiac arrest and other medical emergencies during athletic events. Simply put, an emergency action plan doesn't improve outcomes, it saves lives. So while we hope to return in 2027 to include funding to ensure that all schools have AEDs, AB 454 lays the foundation for a safer future for our student athletes by ensuring that all schools have a cardiac emergency plan in place to respond to sudden cardiac arrest in students. Let's make sure that no family has to endure what Ashari Hughes' family did, and that every student at every level has a fighting chance for survival. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Madam Chair, I would like to request Leah to kindly go through the conceptual amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member, and thank you, Senator Taylor, for having us today and to present this bill. The conceptual amendment, as the Assembly Member mentioned, in Assembly during the work session, there was a verbal amendment to the bill to ensure that the requirements for training didn't apply to students who may be acting as managers. And that wasn't the intent, although we would encourage, of course, all students to get CPR AED training. It's pretty quick, and you're on the field, you should train. But the intent here is not to mandate that those student managers are required to have this training. Additionally, as you may have seen when we came in, we were having some quick conversations with Clark County School District. They have identified in section 1.5, subsection 7B, that we need to remove the word club. And that is on line 25, the first word on line 25. And this is because the clubs are not sanctioned by CCSD. They're often used by community groups, parents, neighborhoods. They're nothing that the school district, as I understand it, and they can clarify for themselves, but as I understand it, this would make sure that they're not liable for any of those community groups who are coming in. So that would be just to remove the word club. And then again, the other conceptual amendment is to make sure this only applies to folks who are not pupils. And then that's all for my portion. I'm happy to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Assembly Member, and thank you, Doctor, for joining us as well. And thank you for walking us through the conceptual amendments. I do have a couple of questions, and I think some committee members do as well. Senator Titus, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for bringing it forward. As a physician who's done literally hundreds of sports physical exams, it's always, you check everything out and then you don't pick something up and then there could be a tragic accident. We actually used to do echoes in all the students, hoping to pick up some inherited problems, and then decided not to do that because it just wasn't financially feasible for all student athletes to get echoes. I'm curious, and Doctor, if you could answer that, or maybe the presenters, under section 8.3, 3F, it says a physician or other medical professional. We have expanded the definition of medical professional significantly over a time, and I'm wondering, I don't see it being defined in your bill what you mean by medical professional. And I was wondering if legal could what's the current definition of a medical professional? Because we have added social workers, we've added other folks.
Will you mind, counsel, opining on that, please? Mr. Newton, thank you.
Cameron Newton, Committee Counsel. At present, I'm unable to find a specific definition of medical professional in NRS, but we do use the term like medical provider in other instances. So I'm not sure if there's a certain type of medical professional you're looking for. We could potentially define that in this, but.
Right, because for me, a paramedic would be a good one to have on those committees. So I just didn't know what your definition of medical professional meant. Nurse practitioner, PAs, is a whole list, but also as a medical provider, we've expanded that definition. And so I would just, I think that if we're doing another amendment, you might want to do what you are considering, and perhaps your physician in Las Vegas could give you a better list of that.
Please go right ahead. And also, state your name. I forgot to have you do that last time, so please do
Leah
that.
Cartwright, Leacartwright, through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Dr.
Please go.
Titus.
You can go there, Rick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As originally written and in the first iteration of the amendment, the medical professional was a cardiologist, and that was considered too limiting at that point. So in just trying to find kind of that happy medium where you are consulting with somebody with medical knowledge, and I agree our definition of medical professional, medical provider is pretty broad depending on which chapter you're looking at. So we would likely need to make sure that that definition aligns with, and forgive me, I'm not super up to speed on all of the education chapters. Most of my time is spent in the health chapters. So hopefully that definition either aligns or we can make a reference to it.
Thank you. That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Vice Chair Dondero-Loop.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for the bill. Don't we already do this?
Thank you for the question, Senator Dondero-Loop, Leah Cartwright, for the record. So yes, kind of. There is an emergency operations plan required throughout the state. It doesn't specifically require cardiac emergency response training. Also, Clark County has had in their codes since 2004, in your school codes that you've created, a requirement to have CPR AED training. So Washoe County and Clark County both do this already in school regulations. Most of the rest of our counties either don't address it at all, or have only taken the donations for Title I, CPR AED training. So all of the schools that would be impacted by this are covered. Assemblymember Nadim's attaché and I worked to figure out the whole list of schools that would be covered by this to make sure there wouldn't be any fiscal impacts, which is also what we're trying to avoid here. But the reason it feels familiar to you is because Clark County has been ahead of the game since 2004 in making this standard practice.
Thank you. I felt like this was already in law or already being done. And I know this isn't a fiscal committee, but who teaches these classes and who does this so there isn't a fiscal note? Because if we're including private schools and charter schools and public schools along the way, I'm surprised there isn't a fiscal note. Along with, by the way, small districts who may not have access to everything as we do in Las Vegas or Reno.
Thank you for the question, Leah Cartwright. To you, Senator Dondero-Loop, the bill requires the emergency operations plan to have the cardiac emergency response plan as part of it, which is statewide. So it's all schools adopt this plan. We've actually been working in the interim with Nevada Department of Education to put cardiac emergency response plans into the emergency operations plan. This law codifies what we were trying to do. And NDE, they do have paramedics and EMTs who help create these emergency operations plans.
May I keep going, Madam Chair? So I understand that, but who's doing the actual training? Because I can work for NDE and be in there, but I can't train the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coaches that we have in this state. And so who is actually doing the training for free? Because if I'm school XYZ and I need my people to be trained someplace along the line, whether they have to pay for it, I have to pay for it, or the school district somebody has to pay for the training, I would think. There might be some outreach with a Red Cross or something like that, but not for all the hundreds of coaches that we may have.
Thank you, Leah Cartwright, for the record. As you pointed out in your initial question, Clark County, Washoe County are already doing this, so it's built into the budget to provide this training. The specific folks that do it, I know NIAA offers some facilitation of the training. There's training that comes from Red Cross, American Heart Association, but it's already built in to provide that.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just trying to get a handle on, and you've already answered my question on 7B because I was wondering that as well. When I read that, I was like, that could be anything. That could be right? Lots of different groups. So, all right, thank you. That's it for right this minute, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead. Senator Titus wanted to weigh in on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for those kind of questions and pointing out who's training and how much. I will say, certainly in the rural Nevada, all of the areas that I've been involved in, our local fire service loves to do this kind of training for free in the rural communities. So there's usually no charge for that.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Yeah, I get that. I worry about, I mean, we have some pretty small communities which may not have the same resources that, I mean, even your Smith Valley folks could go to Reno if they needed to, right? But Austin, Nevada may be in a different ballgame. So, right. And then also the reason I asked that is because I was thinking about the private schools. It says develop a plan, wherever I read that, with, hang on, develop a plan with a local fire department, local law enforcement agency, or nonprofit organization to provide the training and certification required by the plan. And I know most schools have they all have relationships with their local fire department because we're mandated to have fire drills. So, right? So that's why I was asking. I thought this was already in law. So.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Looking for other questions from members? Okay, I have a couple of questions. A couple of them are just clarifications that I missed. I'd like to read the amendments, but there's a lot going on here, so I just want to make sure that I haven't missed anything. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Assembly Member. I just want to make sure I'm clear. Okay, student activities, I know you clarified that to just be basically sports games and sports activities that are sponsored by the NIAA, correct?
To clarify, Leah Cartwright, for the record, this also applies to PE, so physical activity.
And this right now, what we have in statute, thank you for that answer. Right now, what we have in statute requires physical education teachers to have this training, and the whole intent of this is to extend this to those who play on our sports teams.
Leah Cartwright, for the record, that is correct, and the second portion of the bill, to clarify, is to require that the emergency operations plan includes a cardiac response component.
Okay, thank you. Working through it just fine. My other question was, and I'm sure you've given some thought to this. Are there any concerns that in any of the rural communities this may not be possible? I don't know. They have physical education teachers, so somebody's getting training somewhere. But any consideration of that? I guess that's kind of connects to what the Vice Chair asked about.
Great question, Chair. Thank you. Leah Cartwright, for the record. As another rural person, I graduated from Silver Springs High School. There were just under 400 kids in my whole school. So yes, I'm very sensitive to rural issues. And I think part of the genesis of this bill, as we've noted, is Clark and Washoe counties were covered in regulations, and this was not a requirement statewide. And so we have disparities among our rural and urban youth right now in how protected they are for cardiac emergencies. So that's where we're going. We did reach out to representatives, the school board association, the different counties. There are representatives for Elko, Eureka, White Pine, and I think Humboldt School District here. We reached out to them and did not hear back with any concerns. So if any do come up, we are happy to help address those. I do think it's important, just personally and professionally, that our rural areas have the same protections.
Thank you so much. And my last question, I know this is for private schools and public schools. I know there are some charters, in particular in Clark County, that have sports teams. Are they included as well?
Yes, it includes all the schools.
Okay, maybe I missed that.
Yes, Hanati Nitim for the
Okay, so that's in here and I just missed it?
Leah Cartwright for the record. Charter schools are public schools, so our understanding is that they are included. I see the policy analyst shaking her head next to you, so hopefully that suffices. But the intent, yes, is to cover the entire school landscape.
Okay, I appreciate that. Certainly, I know that they're public schools, but typically when I see legislation, it also includes them specifically, and so that might be something to consider to make sure that that's very clear. I mean, it doesn't change the bill at all, but typically I'm accustomed to it being, public schools or charter schools and privates and so on. Okay,
Thank you
other
so much.
questions? Thank you so much. Any other questions from committee members? Okay, thank you so much, Assembly Member. Doctor, thank you so much. Don't quite go away. We may have another question, so we can use you there, Ms. Cartwright, as well. We appreciate it. Now we'll invite you to sit back, if you would, and then we'll open up the hearing for any testimony in support of Assembly Bill 454. You know the routine. State your name for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nathaniel Wall, Clark County School District for the record. I just wanted to say that with the two amendments that Assemblymember Nadeem has proposed, that we are supportive of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards. First, I want to thank Ms. Cartwright and the bill sponsor for working with us on this particular piece of legislation. We are in a position of support, especially with those two amendments that were discussed during the testimony. Answering a couple of the questions regarding the school districts in the rural parts of our state, this particular piece of legislation puts into their emergency plan this element of that emergency plan. Most, I would say, you never want to be absolute. So I will say most coaches, trainers, anybody on the sidelines is trained in CPR and will be able to manage these kinds of issues if they come up. And also prior to and during any type of sports activity. Those coaches are trained, and a lot of them are trained by their fire departments. A lot of them have coached in other areas around the state as well. It's pretty much a prerequisite if you're a coach that you know how to do CPR, that your assistant coaches know how to do CPR. And if you happen to have an athletic trainer, which most of our rural counties don't, they would have to have it as well. So the Nevada Association of School Boards stands in support of AB 454. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clark. Any other support testimony here in Carson City? Seeing none, I do see someone who's come forward in Las Vegas for support testimony on Assembly Bill 454. Please go right ahead, state your name for the record, and make sure you spell your last name.
Misty Duplex for the record, D-U-P-L-E-X. I'm a doctoral student in public policy at UNLV, focused on improving sudden cardiac arrest outcomes through AED access and strong emergency action plans. I'm also a Las Vegas native. Nearly 25 years ago at my wedding, I watched my Uncle Jay and Aunt Peggy, who were married over 50 years, dancing away on the dance floor. That moment turned tragic when my uncle collapsed on the dance floor from sudden cardiac arrest. Despite CPR from my parents, who were both medically trained, we lost him. And I still wonder if an AED had been available, would he have survived? Now I scan every building I enter for an AED. And from where you are sitting, how long would it take you to recognize a cardiac emergency, call 911, locate an AED, and begin CPR? In the time it takes to give this testimony, a life can be saved or lost. This morning, I interviewed the executive director of Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation, and one key factor in survival is awareness and preparedness. You'll hear the research. Sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death. It's the #1 killer of student athletes and the leading cause of death on school campuses. But beyond the research are the stories. Ashari Hughes, Jordan Brister, both passed away at Clark County high schools. As a mom of 3, I'm motivated to prevent these tragedies from happening to another family. We've also seen stories of hope in the past few months. CJ Henley, Sophia Finn Whitaker, both are alive today because of trained staff to act fast and had an AED accessible. This legislation is about preparedness. Let's make sure every Nevada high school is ready, and let's make Nevada a smart heart state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Duplex. We appreciate you being here. Is there anyone else there in Las Vegas who would like to testify in support? I don't think anyone else is coming forward. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. AVH, do we have anyone on the phone lines to testify in support?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 454, please press *9 now. Again, if you would like to testify in support, please press *9 now. Chair, you have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much, AVH. Now we'll open the hearing for anyone in opposition. Any opposition testimony to AB 454? Seeing none in Carson City and no one coming forward in Las Vegas, we will go back to the phone lines. AVH?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 454, please press *9 now. Caller with the iPhone, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Entrada Hughes. How is everyone doing today? I'm here to testify and give my testimony about AB 454. And I am Ashari Hughes' dad. The member of the Senate Education Board. I'm here to testify in support of the bill. I'm here to tell you about my daughter, my princess, my scholar athlete, and my angel, Ashari Hughes. Ashari's shown very bright self-discipline and hard work. She advanced at everything that she applied herself to. Ashari was, I'm sorry, you guys, I got a little emotional there. Shari has shown very bright self-discipline and applied herself to everything she had tried. Ashari was a determined person at an early age. Her big brother played tackle football, and we used to have practice and games. One day she said, "Hey, Dad, I would like to play football with my brother." I told her no, she couldn't play tackle football, and asked if there was any other sport she was interested in that we can start. She turned down every sport and said that if she couldn't play football, that she didn't want to play anything. To my surprise, in junior high school, she joined the flag football team and fell in love with the sport. As a parent, you love to see your kids happy. Ashari had been struggling with chest pains and sadness and shortness of breath while playing flag football, to the point of almost passing out. We took her to the doctor and the cardiologist to get her cleared, and everything seemed to be fine. But we kept a close eye on her. And on January 5th, Ashari had a flag football game. She told us not to come because she might not play as much. As I'm getting off of work, my son calls me and says Ashari has passed out on the field again, but at the time, but this time they were taking her in an ambulance. I remember asking her if she was okay, and she looked at me with a blank look in her head and shook her head yes. I rushed over to the hospital, and as I was going, I could see the medical professionals performing CPR on her. I watched as they tried to get her heart back. It seems like forever. The doctor eventually told us that they couldn't save her. Words cannot express the feeling, the overwhelming grief. So I'm sorry. Overwhelming grief and sadness that takes over when you realize that your child is gone and there is nothing you can do. You start to realize all the memories and the last things that you did with them. I'm here to support the legislation that never puts another parent in a situation me and my family have been in. Cardiac arrest is something that needs to be taken very, very serious. If we educate our schools and our community to have a plan to identify and react to these problems immediately, it will help save multiple lives, even if it saves just one. All the hard work and everything that everyone is doing here will be all worth it. So I encourage and urge the committee to pass Bill AB 454. This is Entrada Hughes, ENTTRODA, last name Hughes, HUGHES.
Mr. Hughes, I'm so very sorry for your loss, and we appreciate your calling in to share your story. She sounded like an angel. ABH, do we have any other callers?
We are currently in opposition of AB 454. If you would like to testify in opposition, please press *9 now. Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you so much, AVH. Anyone neutral for AB 454? Seeing none here in Carson City and no one in Las Vegas, we can go back to the phone lines, AVH.
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 454, please press star 9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits of 728. You are unmuted. Please continue.
Yeah, hi there. This is Rubina Parvez speaking. I'm in strong support of the bill of cardiac emergency plan. It's very important for the safety of all students.
Thank you so much for the call. AVH, is there another caller? We're in neutral testimony.
Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
Thank you, AVH. We'll ask our bill sponsor, Assembly Member. Would you like to come forward, Ms. Cartwright, for any closing comments?
Anadi Nadeem. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, for giving us the opportunity to present the bill, and thank you so much to the committee members for listening. Thank you. I'm really grateful. I just want to say Assembly Bill 454 aims to standardize and elevate emergency response capabilities within school athletic environments by requiring regular certified CPR training for all the professionals involved in school athletic activities. The bill seeks to improve survival outcome during cardiac emergencies, reinforcing Nevada commitment to the health and safety of its students. Dear Madam Chair, I urge you to support this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Ms. Cartwright?
Thank you, Chair, for the final remarks. Leah Cartwright for the record. I guess I would just say that we are offering CPR AED training and first aid training at the Carson City Aquatic Center in the first weekend of June. It's free if you also sign up to be a lifeguard. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that added information, Ms. Cartwright. We appreciate that. Okay, we will officially close the testimony, the hearing on AB 454, and we will now open the hearing on AB 495, and we'll welcome the chair of the Assembly Committee on Education. Thank you so much, Chair Torres, for being here. Begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair Taylor and Vice Chair Dondero Loop and members of the Senate Committee on Education, one of the hardest working committees in the legislature and probably the most studious here in the Senate. I am Assembly Member Selena Torres Fawcett for the record, and I proudly represent Assembly District 3 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today I will be presenting AB 495. AB 495 requires the state to review the existing statewide system of accountability for public schools, the Nevada State Performance Framework, or NSPF. As you all may know, this framework assigns a ranking to all public schools based on 5 categories. Each measure aligns with federal accountability requirements for funding established by Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. In almost every conversation I've had with education and educators and school leaders, they have addressed some of the challenges with the current NSPF. Chronic absenteeism being a main indicator, and that is definitely one of the main concerns, but then also not a proper measurement for student achievement growth, recognizing that in certain areas, student proficiency will drag down a school so much, but that it doesn't accurately demonstrate the growth that some schools are creating and showing in their data. The current NSPF has several considerations that includes chronic absenteeism, academic proficiency, academic growth, ELL performance on the WIDA. One of the criticisms that educators constantly mention is that the current system is not accurately weighing that proficiency or academic growth. So, for example, a school that may have significant academic growth in their school may still perform low with the current framework because their kids are not yet proficient. So you could have a school growing kids, maybe 2 grade levels in a school year, but because their proficiency is low, this impacts their star rating. With the bill in the first reprint, it allows for public charter schools that are a star R1 school with the current NSPF to have a temporary pause from closure while this framework is being reviewed. So I just want to reiterate that it's a temporary pause if they're showing academic growth. It is not a permanent pause. Additionally, this piece of legislation does not require for those schools to stay open. In fact, it gives the SBCSA the authority to review that school, and it's not just the NSPF, but they might review other documents. They can review the financial responsibilities of the board and the school, and the SBCSA would be empowered to shut the school down or keep the school open. You know, I know in this committee, I've been following pretty closely what's going on in Senate Education as our counterpart committee to Assembly Ed. And I know that there's been a number of concerns with, specifically with schools that are shutting down. This gives schools that are showing growth that would otherwise be in jeopardy being shut down a fighting chance to possibly stay open, which has a positive impact on students. It has a positive impact on families and a positive impact on our communities. In response to these challenges, AB 495 introduces a more nuanced system by allowing the sponsors the flexibility to forego mandatory closure if they can demonstrate that that school is making meaningful progress toward meeting specific achievement and performance targets set by the statewide accountability system. This change acknowledges that schools operating under difficult conditions, such as high transiency rates, pandemic-related disruptions, or serving economically disadvantaged student populations, may not fully capture their potential through a single performance metric. The new provisions intend not only to prevent the abrupt shutdown of schools that are on an upward trajectory, but also to stabilize the educational pathways for students who would otherwise face significant disruptions when their school is forced to close abruptly. With the chair's permission, I'm just going to give a brief summary of the measure. Under the current performance framework, it is very difficult for a 1 or 2 star school to rise to a 3. This is incredibly challenging for Title I schools in particular, where statewide 80% are 1 or 2 stars, and almost 60% of Title I charter schools are 1 or 2 stars. So I just want to make it clear, this isn't just an issue that affects charter schools. This is a statewide issue that affects all public schools, not just charter schools. In fact, a large majority of Title I schools are 1 or 2 star schools, regardless, and you have less charter schools that are 1 or 2 star schools. Title I schools in our local districts do not get, or 1 star schools in our districts do not get shut down. In fact, they get the supports needed so that we can hopefully see those improvements. And that's what this bill aims to do, is to empower those boards to make those improvements. These are examples, there are examples of schools that have been outperformed the majority of other schools and remain in the lowest star rating categories. The NSPF has challenges that can impact schools, and it is the intent of this bill to address these challenges during the interim. In the second part of the bill, there is an opportunity for schools that are demonstrating growth to continue for up to 2 academic years using this objective criteria. We want to emphasize that this is a temporary solution to ensure that schools are doing what is needed to improve and are able to remain in the community and continue to serve students and families. I'm going to go ahead and skip through the very detailed explanation of the NSPF, but I'll be happy to take any questions on it because I know that it is very lengthy. Section 2 states the NDE will convene an advisory group comprised of representatives from various educational stakeholders in the state, including educational personnel, subject matter experts, NDE reps, students, parents, and education association representatives. The results of this review must inform the creation of an NSPF that at minimum aligns with NVACs, reflects a real-life milestone with statewide outcomes necessary to advance individual economic mobility, aims to boost enrollment for credit-bearing post-secondary coursework, access to in-demand livable wage careers, does not increase reporting burdens, and aligns with existing efficiency. Additionally, this ND must make every effort to obtain the approval necessary from the U.S. DOE to ensure that the statewide system of accountability for public schools complies with all requirements for the receipt of federal funds under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. So with that, I will go ahead and stand for any questions. I know that there is a proposed amendment for you. It just does a couple things. The first thing is it changes percent to points. That was just more clear, and that was under recommendation too from several conversations I had with individuals within SBCSA and charter school leaders. Additionally, it limits that the section 1, subsection 6 of this act expires on October 1, 2027. The goal is also to leave the remaining parts of Section 1 because that's currently in law right now. The goal would be to leave that in place. So Section 1, Sub 1, right now where it says that if a charter school receives in any period of 5 consecutive school years 3 annual ratings, it changes it to 3 consecutive ratings. And at this time, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Chair Torres Fawcett. Committee members, questions? Vice Chair Dondero Loop?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Assembly Member, for presenting the bill. You and I have had a couple conversations, so I just want to make sure that I understood everything. So will you walk us through, just a minute, let me make sure I have it right, Section 1, subsection 6, where it talks about the sponsor of the charter school is not required to terminate the contract of the charter school, and then it gives some specifications. Will you kind of go through that a little bit?
Yes, thank you for the question. Through the chair to Vice Chair Dondero Loop, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record. So this language of the legislation, so right now we use a point system to measure schools and where they're at on their rating of performance. And so if they're within 5 points of where they need to get to that second star is what we use, right? So I'll refer to star rating in the legal terms. They don't refer to it as the star, but that second level would be the star. So if they're within 5 points of getting to the star rating, this would give the SPCSA the authority to leave that school open. But I want to make it clear this isn't just the SPCSA. This would also apply to district charter schools as well. And both Washoe and Clark have a number of those schools as well. The next part of this subsection, so it's Section 1, Sub 6, Sub B, it says it would be within 10 points. If they're within 10 points of that lowest rating and they have demonstrated at least 50% growth. So this wouldn't, if you had 2 points and you doubled your growth, you would get shut down because 4 points out of the current metric system would not be acceptable. But if you were within that 10 points and you had demonstrated significant growth, this would give the authority for that school to remain open if they decided to leave it open. And I'm not, even when I look at the numbers, and I think this is helpful information, based off the 2024 data, if they decided that every school, and I'm not even sure that the board would, but if the board decided that they would leave every school that was within these metrics open, you would still have 6 schools shut down last year. So there's still a way to there would still be a mechanism that I think is valuable for them to continue shutting down schools that are ineffective.
Thank you very much. Back to the description of where the schools are located or governed. The SPSCA, yes. The Clark County has given up their charter schools; they have none. And what about City of Las Vegas or City of whoever?
Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record, through the chair to the vice chair. Yes, you're completely right. Thank you. Yeah, you're completely right. So this would apply to any LEA that has charter schools.
Okay. And then, Madam Chair, I just have another question, and then I may have more, I don't know. Section 2, the Department of Education establishing the committee. Can we kind of talk through that just a little bit? I think you and I talked about some options there. I just wanted to clarify that. The committee, whether you're going to still do the committee or whether those members might be different.
Thank you. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record. I'm completely open to reimagining what members of this committee look like. But what I think remains true is the need for us to reevaluate the NSPF. So if members of this body have recommendations, or members of the public, I'm happy to have those considerations. I can understand why there might be the need for us to make some changes. It was commented to me earlier today that it's a little NDE heavy, and I'm happy to have a conversation about what those changes look like that would make sense for the reevaluation of the NSPF.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I know there are a couple bills out there that talk about this, so we may want to even just combine so that we don't have committee after committee after committee. All right, we'll have that conversation continue offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dondero Loop. She actually asked my question, so. Okay, seeing no more questions from member, oh, I'm sorry, Senator Buck?
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Thank you, Assembly Member Torres. So currently, do you know the proficiency rate for a one-star school in order to be a proficiency rated at 1 star?
Look, please come, please, whoever's speaking, please come forward and so we can get it on the record. You're certainly allowed to phone a friend. Please go ahead, state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jimmy Lau with Ferrari Reader Public Affairs representing Imagine Schools. For an elementary and a high school, that would require 27 points currently under the NSPF to become a 2-star school. So anything below that would be considered a 1-star school. For middle schools, that threshold is 29.
And that's proficiency without the growth? Are you talking points?
Jimmy Lau, for the record, that's total index score points on the NSPF.
Okay. So the proficiency, it tends to be about 20% or less. And then right now on the NSPF, there are 3 ways to demonstrate growth. Are you aware of those ways in which the majority of the points are based on growth? Can you articulate those?
I don't think, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett, for the record, I don't think this is a competency test for myself, Senator Buck. So if you have a specific question about the bill, I'm happy to answer that.
Well, I was just concerned about the whole growth and demonstrating growth, and that it was stated that growth wasn't based in this bill. And so there's opportunity growth, there's the opportunity gap growth, there's MGP growth, and then there's AGP growth. So 3 different ways in which a school can prove that they are growing kids. And so if they remain at 1 star, my concern is that we are failing kids year after year after year. And so charter schools were created to be different than district schools and be better and prove that they can work with innovative ways. And so I worry a little bit about that. The part of the bill that I do like is that we're re-looking at it, because I do think there are ways that it can be fixed. Attendance being one, because I think attendance does double hit. So I was wondering if you considered on making attendance a completely separate rubric, because it has little to nothing to do with actual outcomes or academics, and double penalizing schools. I was wondering if you looked at attendance.
Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. So I just want to be very clear that this bill is a 2-year pause and look back so that the SBCSA can determine, look at those specific schools. But it's a 2-year pause that does expire. So they would only be for the upcoming 2 school years. So it would expire October 2027. So this is a pause, but there's still the complete authority for the SBCSA to make the recommendation to shut down schools. So I agree that if schools are underperforming and not doing a good job, they should be held accountable. And so that is still true in this piece of legislation. Additionally, on the comments in regard to the NSPF, I think that there is very much a community need for us to reevaluate how we are looking and evaluating schools. And it's been over 10 years since we last looked at our current reporting metric, and a lot has changed in those 10 years. And so it's time we take a look at the NSPF and reevaluate it. Now, we could have done this. I could have done this with a bill if I wanted to, but the NSPF right now does not exist in statute. This is something that is created by the NDE. It didn't make sense for me to just have a bill and say, this is Selena's version of the NSPF, and this is the version we're going to go with. So I didn't do that. Instead, what this is the community would come together and make recommendations. So I think, Senator, what you are presenting to me is a recommendation, and that's the exact type of thing that this committee would then work to looking at, so that we can have an NSPF that I think addresses those concerns that I have also heard from educators and school leaders.
Sarah Buck, you're okay. Committee members? Okay, I think that's all the questions for the committee members. Madam Chair, Mr. Lau, thank you so much. And now we will open the hearing for support testimony. Any support testimony for AB 495 here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, please come forward at this time. Please go ahead and state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Holly Neal, Neal. I am a teacher at the Honors Academy of Literature, but I am here today to speak as a mother of a 10-year-old scholar. My son is highly curious, funny, energetic. He is kind, he is thoughtful and empathetic, and he also has significant struggles with learning in traditional ways. Reading and writing have always been a challenge for him throughout his years in school. While he continues to make progress and growth, he is still not on grade level compared to his peers, and he continues to receive from support and instruction from our special education teacher, as well as support from speech therapy and OT services. As a parent of a child with an IEP, I just want to take a moment to thank this incredible school and its dedicated staff. It is no accident that our school has one of the highest percentages of students with IEPs in the state. From day one, my child has been met with patience, understanding, and a true commitment to helping him thrive, not just academically, but emotionally and socially too. The communication, the individualized support, and the way every teacher and our entire staff works as a team has made such a difference in his life. My child feels seen, supported, and confident, and that means everything to me as his mother. This school doesn't just accommodate differences, it celebrates them. And for that, I am truly grateful. I also want to speak quickly as a teacher. I have had conversations with students, I'm a middle school teacher right now, and with families that have said that they have come to our school and just found that their kids have been able to grow and have more success in the smaller setting of a smaller school, or having the different structure that we have, and just having that other opportunity for them, that another choice for them to help their children grow and be able to get to a place where they feel comfortable and confident in school. That the fact that we have different options for kids is incredible to me.
Ms. Neal, I'm so sorry. You have 2 minutes and that time is up.
Sorry.
But if you have
And
other
that's it?
comments, it's okay. Send it in to our committee secretary and she'll make sure that we get them.
That was it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Please go right ahead.
Andrea Morency, Andrea Morency for the record. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Andy Morency, and I'm the principal and founder of the Honors Academy of Literature, a school that has served Nevada students with excellence for years. Today, I'm here to share my concerns about the Nevada School Performance Framework, NSPF, and its disproportionate impact on small schools like ours. Our school has a long history of measured success based on 4- and 5-star ratings and non-success at 1- and 2-star ratings with very little difference in curriculum, teaching staff, or students. This volatility is caused by our small N size and can be seen playing out across the state within small schools. In our small school of 75 elementary students and 75 middle students, students learn together in the same environment with consistent teaching staff, yet elementary has earned 1 star and middle has earned 3 stars. We are now facing the unimaginable, potential closure. Let me be clear. We believe in holding schools to high standards. We welcome accountability and stand by the importance of measuring students and school performance. However, the measurement tool must be accurate and fair. Unfortunately for small schools, the NSPF introduced significant error that dramatically skews results. This volatility does not reflect the quality of education we provide. It reflects statistical noise. These star ratings are not just numbers. They determine the fate of our school, the trust from our families, and the opportunities for our students. We're not asking to be excused from accountability. We're asking for time. We are confident that through thoughtful revision and consideration of the impact on small schools, the NSPF can yield accurate and meaningful measure. The reality is that our students are thriving. Our families know this, our data over the years has shown this, and 2 years of volatile results may, due to a small sample size, could erase over a decade's worth of success. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Morency.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Please go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Trevor Parrish with the Vegas Chamber, PARRISH. The Chamber is in support of AB 495 as it allows for charter schools to continue the progress that they are making despite potential setbacks that paint an inaccurate depiction of school performance. The current system in place for restructuring charter schools mandates that charter schools must restructure if they have had negative performance in 3 years within the last consecutive 5 years, regardless if they show progress. This process is disruptive, harmful to students, and does not take into consideration any factors such as individual student performance nuances or setbacks from the COVID-19 school closures. We'd like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this forward, and we thank the committee for your time and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Please go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sarah Adler, today representing a consortium of independent public charter schools of Northern Nevada. So Honors Academy is one of our schools, and Dr. Morency shared their situation. There are other schools that have this small N size overweighting, if you will, of certain components of the NSPF, as well as chronic absenteeism. And some of these schools are rural schools. So this relook at the NSPF, I think, can assist many schools in our state. I'd also like to acknowledge what Chair of another committee, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, brought up. Your bill, SB 403, does a great job at bringing forward the same need to look at our education in terms of portrait of a learner, competency-based education, and how can our system of measurement really incorporate sort of the future of education. So Section 2, or aligning it with SB 403, is an important part of this bill. I also want to note what was mentioned, the CCSD sponsored charter schools have now transitioned to the SBCSA. 4 of those 6 have 1- and 2-star ratings. So they really will benefit from an opportunity to get their feet under them, under their new sponsor, and have an opportunity to succeed. So we greatly appreciate your consideration of this bill. And thank you for your time. And happy Friday.
Thank you, Ms. Adler. Seeing no one else here in Carson City and no one coming forward in Vegas, AVH, on the phone line for anybody in support?
If you would like to testify in support of AB 495, please press star 9 now.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, and members of the committee. This is Anthony Curry, Director of Advocacy and Public Policy for Opportunity 180, a nonprofit organization working towards the North Star of every kid graduating high school, college, and career ready, prepared to live the life they dream. Through our work, we support innovative, high-potential charter schools that serve zip codes and student populations that have historically had the least access to opportunities for high-quality education experiences. We support AB 495 because it will create a clear standard for public charter schools to continue operations as long as they are making measurable strides in improving student performance. Furthermore, the committee created by the conceptual amendment will begin the much-needed review of the NSPF. We look forward to working with the committee to ensure that the updated metrics support improved life outcomes and are aligned to college and career success indicators such as the ACT and industry-based credentials. This bill will give these schools additional time to demonstrate progress and additional evidence-based ways to demonstrate progress, providing these schools with an accountability-driven opportunity to illustrate how they impact kids, families, and communities. For these reasons, we support AB 495 and thank the bill sponsor for bringing it forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Next caller, please.
Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, members of the Senate Education Committee. My name is Gil Lopez, Gil-Lopez. I'm the Executive Director of the Charter School Association of Nevada. I'm here in support of AB 495. This bill brings much needed fairness and flexibility to Nevada's accountability system. It allows sponsors to consider real progress when deciding a school's future. It also creates a diverse and inclusive committee to help modernize our accountability system framework here in Nevada. With that said, I do urge the support of AB 495, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Next caller, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Schaefer, NICHOLESHAFFER for the record. I currently serve as the principal of Imagine Schools at Mountain View, a public charter school. I'm here today as a representative of the Imagine Schools community. Imagine Schools at Mountain View has served over 600 students annually in the Las Vegas community for 14 years, achieving 3 stars or higher in all but 2 of those years in our elementary school, and our middle school remains a 3-star school. Our regional and campus leadership teams are committed to leading our community of learners as we have proactively adjusted to shifts in our demographic of students and unforeseen staffing changes. One change in particular is transitioning to a Title I school over the past 2 years. In response to this new designation, the leadership team has mapped out priority areas and action steps aligned to maximize student growth and academic achievement, which include a rehiring process, a professional development plan for teacher growth, adopting a more rigorous curriculum, and utilizing data to inform decision-making. At Imagine Schools at Mountain View, we have implemented systems and processes that are yielding positive results for our students and community, with 41% proficiency in ELA, which is higher than the state proficiency. We too ask for time. AB 495 will provide our school the necessary time for full implementation of these systems, increasing the opportunities for success that our students and families deserve. On behalf of the students, families, and faculty of Imagine Schools at Mountain View, we want to thank you for your time and consideration of this very important bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. Next caller, please.
Hello, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondera Loop, and members of the Senate Education Committee. For the record, my name is Janelle Veith, V-E-I-T-H. I proudly serve as the principal of Quest Academy, a K-8 charter in Las Vegas in its 17th year of operation. Thanks for the opportunity to testify in strong support of Assembly Bill 495 that allows for a sunset provision and a statewide accountability review from input from a diverse advisory group that's essential to reflect equity, nuance, and student growth. We support accountability, and AB 495 still gives authorizers that discretion when they see real measurable progress being made. That flexibility is critical for schools like Quest, which serves 100% free and reduced lunch students, the majority of whom are Black and from historically underserved communities. And we have a small N size, as other schools have mentioned. Our elementary is just one of a handful currently impacted by the statute at this time, but many more will follow, and the burden falls disproportionately on charter schools, while similarly rated district schools face no closure threat. In fact, 199 schools scored lower than Quest. That's not equitable, and the uncertainty hurts morale, community trust, and teacher retention. Despite the challenges, Quest shows strong progress. Our middle school students that are with us long-term outperform all state proficiency rates, and none scored level 1 last year in the SBAC. We outperform the 20% of growth, and we only have 12% in the bottom 20%. And our students come to us severely behind. 90% of our students in elementary school in 4th and 5th grade are 2 or more grade levels behind. The point allocation system for our opportunity gap growth and AGP growth are almost insurmountable for our students. The accountability system doesn't reflect the progress we've made, and it penalizes schools with students who start significantly behind, regardless of how much growth they make. Consider 47% of Title I schools received a 1-star rating compared to just 8% of non-Title I schools. And of the 775 schools, 232 are 1-star, and 204 of those are Title I. That's 88% of 1-star schools, despite Title I schools making up less than 60% of the total. And so the system was not built to account for this kind of imbalance. Quest Elementary is not designated CSI, TSI, or ATSI. We're not even in the bottom 20%. Our middle school is ranked in the top 6 statewide, yet closure is threatened. But like many schools with other disadvantaged students, we're penalized that don't capture growth.
Ms. Veith, I'm so sorry. I need to cut you off. You're over your 2 minutes, but if you have more comments you'd like to share, please send those in to the committee secretary, and she'll make sure that each committee member gets them. Thank you so much for the call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Good morning or good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of the committee. My name is Ben Salkowe, BenSalkowe. I was the founding principal for Equipo Academy, a 5-star high school in East Las Vegas, and I'm also a director for Nevada Public Schools. We are in support of AB 495. Public charter schools founded by local educators in Southern Nevada are tackling some of the greatest challenges in our educational landscape because they take on tremendous risks. And while there are many valuable things in the NSPF right now, and it represented a tremendous step forward for accountability in our education system, I also agree with Assemblywoman Torres that now is a great moment to step back and ask how it can be better. So we support AB 495 for this reason, for the clarity it offers charter school leaders, and we hope that a thoughtful discussion about accountability for education in Nevada will ensue. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Mr. Salco. Are there any more callers, AVH?
Chair, you have no more callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And now we'll open the hearing for any opposition. Anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 495 here in Carson City or in Las Vegas? Seeing none, we'll check back in. AVH, any opposition callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers at this time.
Thank you very much. Now, neutral testimony. Any neutral testimony on Senate Bill 495 here in Carson City? Come forward. And if there's anyone lurking on the sides in Las Vegas, please come forward at this time too. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dundera Loop, and committee members. My name is Robert Munson, representing the Nevada State Education Association. Originally, the NSCA opposed this bill because we fully agree. However, we fully agree that the NSPF needs to be revisited, especially when it comes to growth and some of the other criteria. However, we also feel that as it is currently written, it does not measure, the NSPF as it's currently written and utilized does not measure growth or other issues such as chronic absenteeism effectively. We agree with the bill's sponsor on many of the issues. However, we also feel that schools need to be held accountable and that this bill doesn't fully address these issues at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munson. That would actually fall in opposition testimony, but we understand what you're saying, so thank you. Seeing no one else here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, AVH, do we have a caller for neutral testimony?
Here we have, no additional callers at this time.
Thank you, AVH. Chair Torres Fawcett, would you like to have closing comments?
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record. I'm committed to continuing to work on this, especially in regards to the reevaluation of the metric system. I think it needs to be a collaborative discussion that should not be done just through legislation. And I think that this is a good start to reevaluating to make sure that we have a statewide system of accountability that holds schools accountable in a fair and equitable way. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, now we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 495 and go down to our last item on our agenda, that's public comment. If you would like to make public comment here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, then please come forward at this time. If you'd like to do that and you don't have the phone number, I'll give it to you. For public comment, 888-475-4499. The meeting ID is 8306-2847-712. AVH, do we have any callers for public comment?
To provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for public comment at this time.
AVH, thank you so much. Thank you, committee. Thank you so much for being here. We got through a couple of bills. We have more work to do, so we will see you here Monday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend.